The kid I raised is getting bolder by the day. Not only does he snatch my cigarette and put it out, but he also pins me down in bed to sleep. When I scold him for being unruly, he even acts all aggrieved. Didn't we used to sleep like this when I was little? Looking into his dark, mischievous eyes, I suddenly feel like I've been tricked. I was soaking in the bathtub when Jason walked right in to take a shower, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. You've got no manners. You're not a kid anymore. I shot him a look of disdain and tossed the bar of soap at his bare chest. Without a word, he turned off the shower and walked over. I turned my face away, refusing to look at him until he plucked my cigarette from my fingers and flicked it straight into the water. You little brat, you asking for a beating? The only response I got was the sound of the door closing behind him. Jason is the nephew of my closest friend and, currently, the most promising young best actor in the industry. He lost both his parents in a car accident. My friend, having no means to raise him, sent him to live with me, a man with more money than I know what to do with. Since childhood, Jason has had everything he wanted, indulged in every whim, which naturally made him both innocent and spoiled. Now that he's famous, there are even more people around him with ulterior motives. After I scolded him for partying several nights in a row, he started giving me the cold shoulder. I was furious, but I had to hold back because, at the end of the day, he's my kid. Before bed, I grabbed a cup of warm milk and knocked on Jason's door as usual. Ever since he was little, Jason couldn't sleep soundly without a glass of milk before bed. I knocked several times, but there was no answer. Afraid he might have climbed out the window to go drinking, I forced the door open and stormed in. Jason was inside, sitting at his desk with his back to me, fiddling with something. He turned around, about to explain, but I strode over, grabbed his jaw, and forced the milk into his mouth. Jason couldn't break free, and with his mouth full, he couldn't get a word out, so he had no choice but to gulp it down, looking absolutely furious. Jason, I don't care if you're mad at me. You have to drink your milk. William, I'm live streaming. I froze. The cup slipped from my fingers and hit the floor. On the screen, the chat was already spiraling out of control. Haha, our baby Jason just got disciplined by Daddy. Daddy? More like husband material. Jason, does your dad have a girlfriend? Hey, who just threw their pants at my face? Jason's face turned red not from embarrassment, but from pure rage. I was pissed too. Who's his dad? I look younger than Jason, okay? So I leaned down toward the camera, flashed the most charming smile of my life, and said, "Not Daddy, big brother." Before Jason could land a punch, I was already out the door, slamming it shut behind me. The entertainment industry's influence is too powerful. Before dawn, Jason's live stream had already shot to the top of the trending list. Number Jason Daddy, number Jason Family, number Jason Live. Looks like you're not as famous as me, I teased, elbowing Jason, whose face was growing darker by the second. Can you act your age for once? This Brothos wings have hardened, and now he's lecturing me? I reached over and held his hand with deep affection. Baby, if this has affected your career, just tell me. Your dad's got plenty of money, I'll fix it for you. Jason shot me a glare. It's had a huge impact. My company wants you to join a parent-child reality show with me. My eyes sparkled. That's great. Won't that boost your exposure? Great, my ass. You'd be playing my parent on the show. I could see Jason's fists clenching, but I couldn't help but egg him on. Finally, the world will know how hard I've worked all these years. Your fans will be so grateful to me. Before I could finish, Jason tackled me onto the bed. Egg Jason, you're crushing me, my ribs, man! William, do you even remotely look like a dad? Jason shook his head in exasperation, but made no effort to lighten his weight. Jason, Daddy knows he was wrong. Now get up, okay? Instead, Jason pressed down twice as hard. You little punk, got guts now, huh? Bullying me like this? But then, unexpectedly, he stopped messing around and just lay there on my chest. Didn't we used to sleep like this when I was little? Yeah, except back then you couldn't fall asleep without grabbing my butt. Taking advantage of the moment, I gave his ass a squeeze. Jason punched me in the waist so hard I nearly saw my ancestors. Heartless brat. If you cripple me, you better take responsibility. Jason slowly got off me and asked, "So, you seriously want to do this show?" "Of course. My company just developed a new product, and I haven't had time to promote it. Might as well use this chance to make some milk money off you." "Fine, but at least act normal. Don't say any weird crap." I put on the most serious and resolute expression I could muster and gave Jason a firm nod. "Unbelievable," Jason muttered, shaking his head in exasperation. The highly anticipated reality show In-Laws Please Go Live has officially started filming. While other guests on parent-child shows focus on bonding activities, my experience has turned into a matchmaking event. Jason's dad, "I heard you're not married yet." "I have a niece." Jason's dad, "I also have a daughter. She's not as famous as Chloe, but she's very talented." Chloe, the current sweetheart of the film industry, stood awkwardly beside Jason as this unfolded. I smiled politely and added their contacts using my backup WeChat account. The comments section erupted in laughter, with screenshots of Jason's exasperated face quickly turning into memes. Caption: "What? My dad's getting a girlfriend!" The show begins. The host kicked things off by asking everyone to introduce themselves. "Hello everyone, I'm Jason's guardian, William." "Wow, you look even more handsome in person than in the live stream. Everyone's curious about your story with Jason. Could you share some details?" "Well, most people already know the gist. After Jason's parents passed away in an accident, he's been with me ever since. I've always seen myself as an older brother after all. An elder brother is like a father, right?" "So, is Jason the reason you've never dated or gotten married?" I shot a surprised look at Jason. This wasn't part of the script we practiced. Jason bit his lip and subtly signaled me to stay on script. "That's just because I haven't met the right person yet." The host moved on to other guests before announcing the next segment. "Parents, please choose the child you think would make the best partner for your own." I quickly scanned the room. The only person I recognized besides Jason was Chloe, his former co-star. Back in college, they starred in a campus romance film that went viral. Their shippers still obsessively edit their kissing scenes. Ignoring Jason's narrowed eyes of warning, I confidently cast my vote for Chloe. Luckily, Chloe's mom also picked Jason, making them partners again. Everyone seemed pleased except Jason. During the break, Jason walked up to me, visibly annoyed. "You just picked based on your personal preference, didn't you? What's wrong? Don't tell me there's someone here you actually like?" Jason stayed silent, which only made me more curious. "If you like someone, just tell me. How else am I supposed to know?" "Stop deflecting. When will you ever answer my questions seriously?" Jason's voice was loud enough that the crew and other guests started looking our way. I smiled and nodded at them before discreetly grabbing Jason's wrist, pulling him into a quiet corner. "Keep your voice down. Didn't your company teach you about maintaining your public image? And what kind of serious question is that? All the girls here are your age, how? Could I possibly be interested in any of them?" Jason lowered his head, refusing to respond. I gently cupped his face only to notice his eyes were red. "Jason, what's wrong?" A tightness gripped my chest, making my voice tremble. He turned away just as a single tear fell onto my palm. Jason hadn't cried in 6 years. Seeing some entertainment reporters approaching, I quickly wiped Jason's tear away and led him to a private lounge. "Jason, if you really don't want me on this show, just say the word. I can easily use work as an excuse to drop out." I sat him down, smoothing his hair as I spoke. Jason clenched his jaw and stared at me silently, his lips pale, emotions brewing in his eyes. "Or did I do something else that upset you? Why is this kid getting harder to read? When he was little, a piece of candy and a hug would make him the happiest boy in the world. Just say something already." I scooted my chair closer, closing the distance between us. Jason was born to be an actor. His sharp, chiseled features made him incredibly versatile, while his long lashes and soft, full lips gave him an undeniable youthful charm. Honestly, I should have started my own entertainment company. I could have made a fortune just off Jason alone. If you don't want to talk, I'll leave you to think." Before I could finish, Jason suddenly stood up, gripping the armrests on either side of my chair, effectively trapping me in place. His breath, hot and intense, fanned against my face, making me slightly uncomfortable. "William, I hate how self-righteous you are. Don't throw a tantrum, kid." I pushed him away. During the second half of the shoot, 3 parent-child games were organized, but Jason opposed me at every turn. Game 1, Pictionary. No matter how obvious my drawings were, Jason deliberately guessed wrong. And when it was his turn to draw, his sketches looked like a spider had crawled across the page. I remembered him having some artistic talent as a kid. He was also top of his class academically. But now, I was starting to worry his fans would suspect he had some serious cognitive decline. Game 2, Balancing water cups on a narrow plank. We each had to walk across a narrow wooden beam while holding a cup of water in our mouths. Whoever spilled the least water won. I moved steadily, not spilling a single drop. Jason, on the other hand, his cup fell. He lost his balance. He slipped multiple times. That little punk was obviously doing it on purpose. At this point, Jason's fans had already given us nicknames: Big-Headed Dad and Small-Headed Son. Jason was dubbed the Clumsy, Brain-Dead Son, while I was labeled the Gullible, Long-Suffering Dad. Game 3, Balancing together on a shaky board. Jason and I were tied together and had to maintain balance on a wobbly wooden platform. "Jason, if you pull any more stunts that make me fall, you're dead meat." For once, Jason seemed to take me seriously. He tightened his grip around my waist, practically pulling me into his embrace. Comment section exploded. "Ah, this is so wholesome. Their father-son relationship is amazing. Can I ship this?" They're not biologically related after all. Honestly, I've always thought they were a couple. With how affectionate they are, it's hard not to overthink things. The host, ever the instigator, read the comments out loud. In that instant, I lost my balance and tipped sideways, but instead of hitting the hard ground, I fell straight into Jason's chest. Aftermath. Chaos erupted. Staff rushed over, quickly untying the ropes and helping us up. I was fine. Jason, however, winced and clutched his waist. "We sincerely apologize. We didn't anticipate this kind of accident." Crew members swarmed around, insisting on taking us to the hospital. "It's nothing. I'll just ice it when I get back. I've gotten worse injuries while filming, it's no big deal." Jason shot me a knowing glance before waving the crew away and returning to his seat. "Edit out that last part. Don't let the audience overthink it." I quietly took my seat as well, avoiding Jason's gaze. Because the truth was, I had fallen on purpose. And Jason knew it. That night, after we got home, Jason first posted on Weibo, reassuring fans that he was fine and there was nothing to worry about. Then, he flopped onto the couch and motioned for me to help him apply medicine. "Lift your shirt." Without protest, Jason obediently pulled off his top and lay down in front of me. His physique was well-built, lean in clothes, but impressively toned underneath. The kind of body that perfectly fit modern beauty standards. When my hand brushed over his muscles, I could feel the strength beneath his smooth, warm skin. If you had cooperated from the start instead of messing around, you wouldn't have gotten hurt. I spoke as I carefully applied the herbal medicine patch, the strong scent of traditional remedies filling the air. "You were the one who told me to behave properly, but when I signaled for us to fall together, you insisted on holding on. So, which command was I supposed to follow? Behave properly or fall with you? And why did you suddenly change your mind?" Jason lifted his head slightly, his gaze flickering toward me from the corner of his eye. Smack. I firmly pressed the patch onto his skin before getting up. "If you're injured, then rest properly in bed. Don't let me catch you sneaking off to mess around." Jason remained silent, lying there without moving. The past few days had been consumed by training, rehearsals, and fittings for the variety show, leaving me with piles of company paperwork to go through, countless meetings to attend. I worked until late at night, slept for a few hours, and then got up again to rush to the office. One day wasn't enough to make up for the days I'd missed, so I pulled another all-nighter and then met with a new client first thing in the morning. During the day, I sent Jason messages reminding him to change his medicine, eat the meals Auntie made for him, and not to go out at night. His responses were simple, just, and okay, completely ignoring my concerns. By the time I finally wrapped up my work, the sun had already set, and the last traces of daylight had disappeared. Sitting alone in the dark office, I found myself staring blankly at the photo frame on my desk, bathed in moonlight. In the photo, Jason, fresh out of college, had already grown taller than me by a head. He was in his graduation gown, holding a vibrant sunflower bouquet, with his head slightly tilted toward me, standing beside me. I had rushed over straight from a meeting that day and hadn't even had time to change, still in my black suit. But I had specifically worn the tie I gave Jason for his graduation, though I didn't know if he noticed. As I studied the photo closely, I suddenly noticed that Jason's other hand was resting on my waist. How did I miss that back then? I thought back to his red eyes and the tear that had fallen earlier today. The way he had looked at me in the break room, with that angry gaze and heated breath, and how distant he had seemed when I applied the medicine to him. When did the innocent, carefree child who used to cry and laugh suddenly become so emotionally complex? He had said, "When will you answer my questions properly?" And, "I hate it when you think you know everything." When did I start avoiding his questions and his feeling? And when did I start becoming someone he disliked? The more I thought about it, the more troubled I became. It wasn't until the phone suddenly rang that I snapped out of my thoughts. It was Jason. "Is this Mr. William? Jason has had too much to drink, and he's been shouting to see you." This kid really never made things easy. I quickly asked for the address and rushed over. The brightly lit, noisy private room was filled with the sound of laughter and chatter, while Jason lay unconscious, surrounded by a few familiar faces from the entertainment industry. One of the guys helped Jason to his feet and guided him toward me, while the others stood up to assist. "Jason, your brother is here to pick you up." A moment of awkwardness passed as they exchanged glances, unsure of the situation. "He's not my brother, he's my dad." All right, your dad's here," they muttered awkwardly in response, throwing me confused looks. "Thank you for your help today," I said as I took over Jason's weight and walked him out. Once outside, Jason, still dazed, mumbled, "William, so who exactly are you? My dad, my brother, or—" "Jason, you've had too much to drink. Just keep quiet for now." He obediently shut up and leaned on me, letting me guide him along. Finally, reaching the garage, he hesitated, refusing to get into the car. "What do you want now?" I sighed, rubbing my temples, a little exasperated. What could I do? He was my responsibility now. I gently coaxed him into the back seat and drove us home. On the way, Jason couldn't sit still, wrapping his arms around my shoulders, sniffing my hair and touching my face. "Jason, are you a dog?" I exclaimed, my voice high-pitched from irritation. Once home, I struggled to get him into bed, but as soon as I did, he clung to me, not letting go. "William, do you like Yvonne?" I froze for a moment. Who is Yvonne? "William, do you like Chloe?" What was he asking me? Wasn't it him who liked Chloe? "William, do you like me?" Jason held my face with both hands, forcing me to face him. His eyes, hazy with alcohol, were looking at me intensely. The room was dimly lit, and our faces were close. The air was thick with the scent of alcohol and his warm breath. "I like you, William. I've liked you for a long time." Jason's face slowly moved closer, his lips drawing all my attention. They were full and, with his body heat, even more vivid, like a shiny, tempting jewel. "Jason, stop messing around." I quickly pushed him away and fled to my own room, chugging down water to calm myself. Lying in bed, I kept breathing deeply, but Jason's flushed face and awkward expression kept repeating in my mind. Damn, I actually felt the impulse to kiss him just now. The next morning, I was jolted awake by a cool, wet sensation on my forehead. "I was the one drunk last night, so how come you're the one sick?" Jason sat at the edge of the bed, holding a cup of medicinal liquid in his hand. "I hate physical cooling. It's all wet and uncomfortable." I sat up and took the damp towel off my forehead. You're so hard to please. Jason obediently took the towel and handed me a dry one to wipe my sweat. You're sober already? Why are you up so early taking care of me? I didn't hear you leave this morning, so I woke up to check on you. Then, an awkward silence fell between us. I usually wake up at 7, and by 8, I'm already out the door. Since graduation, Jason only wakes up in the afternoon if he doesn't have any plans. So people who don't know him might think he's just sleeping his life away. There's no way he could have heard me leave this morning. Jason, you didn't stay up all night, did you? I slept, but I've gotten used to waking up and waiting for you to leave before going back to sleep. He sat beside me with his head down, his fingers gripping the water cup tightly, turning pale. After a long pause, he slowly lifted his head and looked at me. The corners of his eyes were red, tears pooling in them. William, last night It's fine. I'll just pretend you were talking nonsense because you were drunk. I couldn't bear to look at his face and turned my head, closing my eyes. He remained silent before getting up and walking out. Yvonne was the marriage partner my family arranged for me when Jason was in his second year of high school. She had a neat short haircut, a tall and graceful figure, and a face that radiated elegance as she looked like someone who was hard to approach. But, despite that, she always wore a sincere smile. Hello, William. Sorry, I'm into women. Before she could even sit down, I blurted out the unexpected words. I smiled, reassuring her that I had no intention of dating or marrying, hoping she could relax and treat this as just a casual meeting. We talked for a while. When she heard that my family had taken in a child, she became curious and asked to see a picture of him. I scrolled through my phone and finally handed her a photo of Jason from when he had just moved in with me. What about now? No, I haven't taken any new ones. That doesn't make sense. You've spent so much time together. He's busy with his studies, and I'm busy with work, so... I nervously avoided Yvonne's increasingly inquisitive gaze, feeling anxious that she might say something I didn't want to hear. But she said nothing. When I drove her home that evening, she said we got along so well that she had to give me a gift. You don't have to bother with that. Who said it's for you? It's for your little one. She took off her black and white checkered scarf, draped it over my neck, and said, Keep warm, and make sure he wears it when you get home. I hesitated, reaching to take the scarf off to return it to her. Don't do that. This scarf was given to me by a child. It's perfect for your little one. Well, thank you. After that, we didn't meet again, but we kept in touch. She spent most of her time abroad, obsessed with capturing snow landscapes and auroras, and occasionally sent me her work. I also sent her photos from here, including one of Jason and me. It was a photo I had taken secretly while Jason was asleep. Mom, what are you doing here? You're sick and have no wife to take care of you, so of course I had to come. Mrs. Chen appeared in front of me with a large pile of bags while Jason and I were having breakfast. Jason's new movie was so cool, it's got all the aunties here at home swooning, even me. Mom quickly put down what she was holding, then stepped over to Jason, hugging him tightly and ruffling his hair and face. You don't seem like you're here to take care of me. Jason, later you need to sign a few more autographs for me so I can give them to your mom's fan club. Jason stuck his tongue out at me and let my mom hug him without protest. Xiaoyan, has Yvonne contacted you? Long time no contact, why? She's back in the country recently, but hasn't gone home. Yvonne has always been someone who expresses her thoughts freely. She never worries too much about what others around her might think. Where she is, what she's doing, who she's with if you're involved with her, you'll know all of it, but you can't control it. Her parents have always been troubled by this, but they can't do anything about it, and just have to let her be. Son, you've been looking great on the variety shows recently. Several of my acquaintances introduced their daughters to me. Maybe you should... Mom, we agreed to stop talking about this. I stood up and closed the bedroom door. That's what you say, but it can't really be like this. Our family only has you. If you don't get married and have kids, then... I had nothing to say. All right, I know. You get mad whenever I bring it up. But then tell me, why don't you date? Is there no girl you like? Or is there something else going on? You never tell me anything. I'm really worried. I'm just really busy. There's a lot going on at the company, and Jason... What about Jason? Is he stopping you from going out on dates or taking away the girl you like? You can't blame the kid for all this. Mrs. Chen was unusually emotional, her fair face suddenly turning red, and her small figure was pacing back and forth in the room. Think what you want. Auntie, Uncle called. He said you need to go home. Before I could continue, Jason's voice interrupted me as he opened the door. My mom, still fuming, grabbed her coat and headed out the door. Jason bent down and waved at the disappearing car with a smile on his face. Auntie, I'll send the autograph to you personally next time. Good son, always taking care of things. Jason tilted his head, smiling as he put his arm around my shoulder and walked inside. I suddenly realized that the kid who used to be much shorter than me was now a whole head taller. Can you still grow taller after graduating? It's you who got shorter. The second episode of the variety show was filmed on schedule, and the production team intentionally separated Jason and me to prevent any rumors or public misunderstandings. However, Jason kept running over to my side from time to time. How do you peel this apple? How do you tie this apron? My finger. What now? Jason didn't continue, but he gave me a helpless look and extended his bleeding finger toward me. The production team paused, filming for a break, and a few assistants came over to treat his wound. I'll do it myself. I cleaned the wound, applied some alcohol for disinfection, and blew on his finger. Does it still hurt? It doesn't hurt anymore. I just remembered that you used to get hurt a lot when you were little. Jason smiled without speaking, probably not wanting to share his embarrassing childhood stories in front of so many people. Mr. Chen, is that true? Chloe, who was nearby, looked at us with curiosity. When she spoke, everyone else smiled and gathered around. Yeah. When he was little, he was stung by bees while picking flowers in the yard, and he came home with a swollen face and cuts on his fingers. He was crying so hard he couldn't even explain what happened. Everyone around laughed, talking about how cute and innocent Jason had been as a child. You guys are too much. Jason blushed and quickly pulled his finger away before walking off, leaving the bandage unused. Is he mad? Chloe's face turned red too, her gaze following Jason's retreating figure. How would I know? Want me to tell you? If you really want to know, I'll tell you. She was more than eager to hear more about Jason, nodding enthusiastically like a chick pecking at rice. So, during the filming, it wasn't Jason who kept running over to me, but Chloe. Tell me, why did my business end up trending instead of yours? Jason angrily threw a tablet in front of me, pointing at the red trending hashtags. Number William Chloe. Number Jason. Years. Long girlfriend turns into a stepmom overnight. Number, father, or rival number. If I were in a cartoon, I'm sure there'd be black lines all over my face. Don't be mad, or I'll get you some trending topics. Jason gave me a look like he couldn't be bothered, then threw himself onto the bed. Are you really angry? Is it because of Chloe? Don't worry, I don't like that type. Jason turned over without responding to my teasing. Chloe is a nice girl. When you two work together, I thought you'd make a good match. And she's been really interested in your little stories, too. She's gentle, thoughtful, and kind-hearted. I nudged Jason's waist with my elbow, hoping for a response. If you like her so much, why don't you go after her? I told you I don't like her. As your dad, I'm just worried about you. You should worry about your own business. Jason seemed to have had enough of my teasing. With a swift move, he left the room. I stared at his retreating figure, suddenly lost in thought. He was such a troublesome but lovable guy. Yvonne? I was surprised to see Yvonne sitting in the living room drinking tea when I got home. Not happy to see me? You're so shocked. Of course not. I glanced around the room, but I didn't see Jason anywhere. Who opened the door for you? Well, you kid. Yvonne gave me a strange look and pointed toward the closed bedroom door. Sorry, that kid is a bit shy. I picked up the teapot and poured her another cup of tea. It's fine. I think he's quite thoughtful he even made me tea. Why did you grow your hair out? He said long hair suited me, so I kept it. Yvonne touched the high ponytail she had tied. Her eyes suddenly filled with tears. William, she's gone. When she left, it was peaceful. I suppose, in a way, it was a release. Yvonne shook the wine glass in her hand, and in the noisy environment, I almost didn't catch the tremble in her voice. The she spoke of was Luna, Yvonne's lover, who had a severe congenital heart condition. She had undergone several major surgeries, which were considered successful, but had been hospitalized on and off for treatment until the month before her death. Yvonne met Luna while living abroad, and the two of them had spent more than a decade together, sharing a love that many envied. I never thought that when I left here I'd be alone, and when I came back I'd still be alone. You're not alone. You have family. You have friends. I patted her shoulder gently. Her eyes were moist, and she kept changing the glass of wine in her hand. William, you need to understand something. Some people, even if they're right in front of you every day, can slip away in the blink of an eye. Starting to sound like a self-help lecture. I'm serious. You need to figure out what you want. I envy you. What do I want? And what does Yvonne envy about me? As I looked at Yvonne's increasingly dazed eyes, I fell into deep thought. After the event ended, I sent Yvonne back home before heading back myself. The smell of alcohol and smoke on me was strong, so I decided to linger outside the door for a bit to air it out before going in. But then, I saw Jason walking side by side with Chloe at the corner. Mr. Chen. Chloe waved at me from a distance, while Jason's face looked gloomy and unpleasant. Is Chloe here to hang out with Jason? Not entirely. There's a last-minute script for the next shoot, and I'm not sure about it, so I came to talk to him. I see. You guys go ahead. I'll come in later. Chloe nodded happily and pulled Jason inside. You went drinking? Jason asked with a dark look on his face. Yes. With Yvonne? Yes. Jason snorted and followed Chloe inside. About half an hour later, I opened the door and walked in. Jason was still glaring at his phone, and Chloe stood up nervously, gripping her teacup. Did things not go smoothly? I asked, trying to lighten the mood. No. I handled it, and I'm about to leave. The night's getting late. Let me drive you. I followed the somewhat awkward Chloe to the entrance. Mr. Chen, I'd like to talk to you. We got into the car, and since the car didn't start, I waited for Chloe to speak. Jason misunderstood, and he got mad at me. Chloe said this abruptly. Misunderstood what? Mr. Chen, please talk to him. I've never liked you. I like Jason. Now, I was even more confused. What in the world was going on? Jason said I was trying to get close to you, asking if I liked you, and told me to give up, saying you already have someone. Chloe's emotions were running high, her face red with anger, and her fists clenched tightly as she waved them around. Calm down. Calm down. Jason is just saying nonsense because his mind's all messed up. Don't take it to heart. I'll go back and give him a good talking to and make him apologize to you. But I don't need his apology, and I'm not mad, just really sad. Maybe you can find a chance to talk to him again? It's useless. He doesn't like me, and he doesn't understand what I'm trying to say. I scratched my head awkwardly. How could that kid not understand a word? Mr. Chen, you don't need to drive me back. But please go back and tell him that Chloe doesn't like William, that's all. I got it. Sorry about all this, Chloe. Chloe gave a weak nod, opened the car door, and got out. Now, I had a headache. How could Jason say whatever came to his mind? Jason, what on earth did you say to Chloe? It's nothing. Just telling her the truth. The truth? What do you mean? I don't have someone else. I'm still single. Jason suddenly stood up and walked over to me. You think I ruined your chances? You said you didn't like Chloe, so I was just helping you fend off her advances. But she likes you. Misunderstanding her and scolding her like that is really hurtful. I don't like her, and I didn't even know she liked me. Well, if you never gave her the chance to speak her heart, of course you wouldn't know. Then who do you like? Have you ever spoken about your feelings? No, have you ever given anyone a chance? Jason backed me up to the sofa, not leaving me any space to escape. Even though he was much younger than me, his height and physique easily outmatched mine. He got so close that I felt overwhelmed, like I was being pinned down by a shadow. I don't do this. It's kind of scary. Jason stared at me as if I were his prey for a long while before finally sitting down beside me. Well, this is the only way you'll talk to me. He paused before continuing. By the way, why did Yvonne come looking for you? Just catching up on old times. What kind of history could you two have? Jason's tone dropped, his irritation palpable. Even without looking at his face, I could feel his frustration. Jason, why are you suddenly so concerned? I rubbed my temple, feeling the pressure building, and leaned back against the sofa. You're the one who runs out drinking when you're sick. You're even worse than me. After saying that, Jason went quiet, like a cat, occasionally letting out a frustrated sigh. You did well hosting Yvonne today. Didn't expect you to pour her tea. Noticing how unusual his mood was, I reached over and ruffled Jason's soft hair. Not just tea. We talked for quite a while. Jason turned his head to look at me. Oh, what did you talk about? I pretended to be indifferent, though my heart had already started racing. We talked about you. I quickly pulled my hand back, clutching my chest as my heart beat faster. So, how long were you planning on keeping this from me? What am I hiding from you? Hiding that you like me. Like you, don't joke around. I stood up and walked towards the bedroom without turning back. Jason, if you keep saying things like this, I'll just assume you've been confused these past few days. Jason was quick, and before I could react, he had thrown himself onto me, his warm embrace sending a shiver down my spine. William, you're the one who's confused. Yvonne told me everything. You can't hide it anymore. I tried to push him away, but my body was still weak from being sick, and I couldn't muster the strength. Jason, I really don't understand what you're talking about. Stop pretending. You're just afraid it'll affect my work, so you won't admit it, right? None of that matters. Look at me. I'm willing to give it all up, but the fact that you like me too, that's something I never dared to hope for. Please stop hiding it from me. Please, tell me you like me. Jason's voice trembled and cracked as he spoke, burying his head in my shoulder as he began to sob. My heart urged me to give in. My mind warned me to hold back. In the end, I chose to follow my heart. William the First. Jason suddenly looked into my eyes, and I cupped his face before kissing him. Jason, I've wanted this for a long time. When Jason first came to my house, he was only 8 years old, 8 years younger than me. After his best friend passed away, he cried every day, barely ate, and almost lost weight to the point of looking unrecognizable. At that time, I swore I would take care of him, but I was just a teenager myself, unable to shoulder the responsibility of dealing with such a stubborn little brat. Luckily, my mom was willing to help. She immediately hired many tutors and doctors to take turns looking after him. He was a tough kid. After losing both parents and being left all alone, he still managed to open his heart and integrate into our family, becoming just like any other child. But we all knew that the scar in his heart would never heal. Still, I would forever be his remedy. From being strangers who were unwilling to communicate, we gradually became friends, family, and perhaps something more ambiguous began to linger between us. I knew my sexual orientation since high school, so I became more reserved and cautious. But I was willing to be open with Jason because I realized that he was the person I loved the most. In my second year of high school, I was arranged to go on a blind date with Yvonne. The night before the date, after picking up Jason from school, we went to a nearby mall to eat and shop, and by coincidence, we bumped into Yvonne, who was also out shopping. See you tomorrow. Since we had met at a previous banquet, Yvonne casually greeted me, while Jason started to get upset for no apparent reason. I bought him what he wanted, but he was still sulking. What's wrong with you? Who was that lady? Lady? Oh, you mean Yvonne. She's a friend of mine. I didn't know you had this friend. She's someone I just met, of course. You wouldn't know her. Jason grumbled, but then buried his head in his food. This is too sweet. It doesn't taste good. He pushed the leftover strawberry cake toward me. This isn't right. You love this cake. I ate the last few bites, puzzled as I looked at him. The little brat suddenly had a look of smugness that I didn't fully understand, and then he continued munching on chips and chocolate. Tomorrow, You'll come pick me up, right? I've got an appointment tomorrow, but don't worry, I'll send Uncle Zhang to pick you up. Jason suddenly sprang up like a spring, throwing his chips on the table. Are you going to see that lady? She's an older sister. I don't care what she is. It's up to you whether you come pick me up or go see her. He ran off into his bedroom with his stubbornness, and even when I brought him milk that evening, he didn't look at me. Such a brat. You're angry, and I'm angry too. The next day, I went to meet Ivan as promised, and had the driver pick up Jason. When I got to the door, I saw him sitting on the doorstep, wearing a thin jacket. Jason, it's so cold. Why are you? Jason heard my voice, stood up, and jogged over to me, but I saw his happy expression slowly turn into a struggle, then loneliness. What's wrong? Did someone bully you? He lowered his head but raised his hand to grab the corner of the scarf around my neck. Did she give this to you? I nodded. You accepted it? I nodded again. He didn't say anything but turned to run away. I quickly grabbed his wrist and wrapped the scarf around his neck. Why are you running off? This scarf was given to you by her. I don't believe it. He turned around, but his eyes were already brimming with tears. Don't not believe it. She said it was for my little friend. It smells like someone else. I don't like it, but it also has my scent. You don't like it? Jason shrunk his neck into the scarf, rubbing his cold nose against the soft fabric. Are you still angry? I'm not angry anymore. Did you cry out of anger? No, it's just so cold. Such a stubborn brat, crying but refusing to admit it. When we got back to the house, I asked Jason to wait for a moment while I went to take a shower. When I came out, I found him asleep on the sofa, the scarf still wrapped around his neck. So, I gathered my courage, walked over to him, and took one of the few pictures we had together. Later, Jason unexpectedly decided to pursue a career in the entertainment industry. Despite my reluctance, after consulting with many people and accepting that Jason was naturally cut out for this field, I stopped trying to stop him. However, this completely shattered my expectations and plans. I had originally decided to confess my feelings to him, but that plan came to an abrupt halt. Actors are public figures, and they are bound by many constraints. I couldn't impulsively stand in the way of him following his dreams and achieving success. So, with that in mind, I buried myself in my work over the next 4 years. Jason grew brighter and busier as he walked down this path, just like me. During the entire 4 years he spent in university, the number of times we met was few and far between. The most memorable time was the night before his graduation ceremony, when he surprisingly came to my office and invited me to attend the ceremony with him. William, you'll come, right? Sorry, I'll try my best. The first reason was that I had 2 meetings scheduled that day, and I might not be able to make it on time. The second reason was that whenever I saw Jason, my heart started beating irregularly, which scared me. I couldn't even look up, fearing to see disappointment in his eyes. But I was lucky. The next day, I managed to attend after my first meeting. I made it just in time for the group photo. Wearing his graduation gown, Jason was a whole head taller than me, smiling brightly as he stood next to me, holding the bouquet I had given him. Jason, congratulations on your graduation. I wish you all the best in your future, and may your dreams come true. So, the reason you haven't been in a relationship all this time is because you like Jason. My mom calmly looked at the two of us standing side by side. Mom, you're not even surprised. I'm your mom, and half of Jason's mom. Do you think I don't know what's on your mind? I've just been worrying about you both. So, you agree? Of course I agree. Now my big star is going to become my son. Mom. Jason blushed and first looked at me, then turned to my mom and called out, "Oh, my dear child." My mom tightly hugged Jason, then reached out to pull me into her embrace as well. I'm so happy, and I hope you both will be happy too. Chloe stared at the two of us sitting across from her, wearing an expression that said, I knew it all along. Chloe, I'm really sorry. Mr. Chen, what do you have to apologize for? You should make Jason apologize to me. Why should I apologize to you? Because after all this time working together, you still didn't understand what I meant and accused me of liking Mr. Chen. Accused? Chloe, that's going too far. At least I'm a fine gentleman. I twitched my lips. How come this girl talks just like Jason, so recklessly? Chloe picked up the cup in front of her and drank it in one go before angrily refilling it. You didn't make things clear, and you kept getting close to William, who wouldn't be suspicious. Jason, not to be outdone, finished his juice and even drank mine. Why are you getting jealous of me, a girl? Mr. Chen could never like me. At that time, I wasn't sure either. Then, 2 sets of angry eyes were fixed on me. It's all your fault for not making things clear, they both said in unison. All right, it's my fault. I had no defense. Well, look at you, finally listening to me. Yvonne greeted us with a bright smile. I'll officially introduce you both. This is Jason, and this is Yvonne. You're so serious. Now I'm embarrassed, Yvonne said, extending her hand to Jason. Hello, little one. I'm your imaginary rival. Jason, a bit at a loss, shook her hand. So, are you two officially together now? Yes, but we're keeping it a secret for now. Only a few people who are close to us know. The current public opinion isn't very friendly toward our group, and Jason is just starting out in the entertainment industry, so we can't act recklessly. Did you hear that, kid? William treats you so well, and yet you still cause trouble. I don't. I apologize for what happened before. I misunderstood. Jason muttered an apology as well, starting to make things right. No need to apologize. You two really are a perfect match. You get so serious when you want to. It's like I'm the one being judged here. Yvonne waved her hand to tell us to relax, and then took out 2 beautifully packaged gift boxes from her bag and placed them in front of us. Here's a little gift for your wedding. Best wishes, best wishes. You always worry about us, Yvonne, but thank you. Aren't you going to open them? I carefully unwrapped the gift. Inside was an elegant photo frame with a picture of me and Jason together. Yes, it was the picture I secretly took of Jason while he was sleeping. I panicked and looked at Jason, but to my surprise, he didn't react at all. Aren't you surprised? You thought I was really asleep then? Oh no, this kid has already started learning how to deceive others. Also, when Yvonne came to find you last time, she told me about all this. All this? What things? Secrets. Ha ha ha. Only in a world where William is hurt could this happen. Yvonne laughed at me, and Jason joined in. All right, so you both know, but I didn't. I'm leaving soon. I came to say goodbye. Where are you going? To the place I promised her. I didn't have the courage before, but now I do. You both gave me that courage. Finally, Yvonne left gracefully, driving away alone. We returned to our home. In the evening, we were sitting on the couch watching television when a food channel came on. Jason, have you had that cake you like recently? No, ever since you stopped buying it for me, I haven't had it. Why? I remember you liked it a lot. It doesn't taste good unless you buy it. That's nonsense. The last time I bought it for you, you said it was too sweet and didn't taste good. That was because you made me mad, so it didn't taste good. How about I order one now and you can try it and see if it's good? Sure, but what? Suddenly, Jason leaned in, pressing on me so hard it left me short of breath. But right now, I'd rather taste you.